exciting day today, guys. Still at the boat yard. It's actually a beautiful Sunday finally. And look what just arrived. 2 brand new 2.5-inch shafts. Got all my cutlass bearings. It's exciting having everything here. I also got 2 new props, which aren't here, still at the shop. But now is the time to start pulling things out and replacing them. Still unsure on the plan for this shaft because as you guys can see, running into the ground. Already had to dig out a hole just for my rudders. If you guys didn't see, there's the look of the prop that was damaged. But we now own new props, 2 new shafts, all new cutlass bearings. And basically I did sandblast all my rudders to get them cleaned up. All new shaft packing, or I guess rudder packing for that. And time to start reassembling everything. Get some of these things cleaned up and let's get to it. So, as you guys kind of just seen, you get this just heated up a little bit. Because everything's kind of made out of brass, bronze, you have a lot of thermal expansion and contraction. So all we did was actually put the cutlass bearings in the freezer. I was going to get some dry ice, which would have been a lot better, but just stuck the cutlass bearings in the freezer, heated this up, just pretty warm to the touch. Nothing crazy, like it didn't even burn off bottom paint, nothing like that. And as you've seen by that video, it just slid right in. It did go a little bit too far, so that's where I'm gonna go and grab basically a threaded rod with 2 blocks on either side to pull it back to be flush on this side. And other than that, tighten up the set screws and good to go. Or the aft cutlass bearing actually didn't go in far enough, so I still have to get the press tool and press it in about 2 or 3 inches on the back side. And then we can start sliding the shaft in. So this is basically the contraption that I came up with to press the cutlass bearings in the rest of the way. As you just seen, once you warm it up, cool off one end, they slide together pretty good. But this one still had a little bit to go. And it works very nice. Just a threaded rod, lots of lubrication. We all know that's key. Big piece of stainless angle for the back side. And just an old plate that I had off of, honestly, I have no idea, but had a nice hole in the middle already. And basically, just a matter of getting it snug, using a decent sized hammer, and it's nice because it has this big area that you can give it a smack. You give it a couple smacks, and then you'll notice now, very easy, because it actually squished its way in. And as you can see, that gap there, it's hard to tell on camera, but there's almost no gap left. So another smack or 2 and she'll be on.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gonna get it. You hear me?
So as you've seen by the quick time-lapse video, basically just tightening everything up, giving it a smack in between, and inch by inch, well, more like millimeter by millimeter, it slowly went on until it is now flush. Well, I had to dig a hole here to hopefully get this to fit, so let's take you along with me. See if we can make this work.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning. These ladies know that I'm sinning, and this is just the beginning. I'm closing in the night inning. There ain't no point in resisting. Living life like a dream. Live it right, that's the thing.
Definitely not an easy task, especially by yourself.
It's a dream, and I pray as a team. One day it'll be me. If I want it, then I get it. Head down, don't regret it. Push myself to the limit. If I play it, then I win it. I'm just saying, I'm just living for today. For a minute, I don't stay. I just visit, have no shame. I admit it. Looking at me to see if I succeed.
Woo. This is not easy.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.
All right.
Want the best of me now.
Definitely gonna need to take a break. Here's another angle. A nice little hole that I had to dig. Everything is lubricated, just like I said before. Especially doing this kind of stuff, lubrication is key to get all this to slide together. I think I finally got the hole dug out. Let's see if this thing just slides in now. I was planning on possibly digging out the other side, but after doing this one, I don't think that's happening. I think I'm gonna wait and pay them to pick the boat back up. Probably put on a couple more blocks and go from there. See if this thing slides in nice and easy now. Oh yeah. Way easier. Might be allowed to get it in all the way. Maybe not. Close, but not all the way.
Yeah, let's go. I ain't the first with the curse, with the thirst that I wanna be better.
I don't know if this is going to be enough. But we're currently, I think, lifting the whole boat. Yeah, look.
Okay, yep, Don't show me that. It's scary.
This is, don't try it at home. I guess just try it in a boatyard. As you can see, what we are trying to do currently is, from hitting our sweet rock, which I've been concerned about this whole time, is the strut. The rear strut is bent. It looks like it was originally bent up and off to the side by probably 2 degrees in each direction. So applying just a bit of heat, basically hot to the touch, to the back of it, and got a bottle jack under the front so we can kink it up. And I don't know how well you can see this, but we have the front hooked to a chain fall, hooked to my truck to try to pull it that way. So basically the shaft is going up and this way. So currently that's where it's locked in position. I'm gonna basically let it cool where it is and see if it moved. It looks like just applying a little bit of heat and a good amount of force like this, it's actually moving pretty easily. We do have a dummy, basically a dummy shaft in, which is just a 2.5-inch aluminum tubing. So definitely not the strongest thing, but what's nice is when we're pulling and doing anything, if anything is to break or twist or bend, it's just going to be the aluminum tubing first. So we won't really destroy anything except for bending the tubing, which is kind of the sacrificial piece. Even though technically this was supposed to be for my hard top that I was telling you about that I was getting made. Just wait till you see that. That's a whole story in itself, but things are starting to get there, and hopefully we'll get this, let this cool and see where we sit. Finally, we got things lined up. So if you're ever doing shaft alignment, the aluminum dummy shaft works awesome. But after much tweaking, getting it just perfect, because I am wanting this to be absolutely perfect, we finally got it there. So I'll show you exactly what you're looking for if you ever run into this situation. If you do, just hire a professional. Don't do it yourself, it sucks. But this is exactly what you want. It slides in and out with ease and rotates effortlessly. So that means both cutlass bearings are lined up absolutely perfect, and it's dead nut center in the stern tube. So basically meaning everything is back to alignment. So, and it's very easy when you just use a chunk of aluminum. It comes very true and straight. Obviously, if you're talking into the thal, probably not straight. But just to get things lined up and checking, basically with your eye and making sure things are parallel and just checking to see if it spins. This is very true to size on the actual stainless shaft itself. But you can now see everything is lined up perfect. It rotates literally effortlessly and slides in and out. So now, after many tweaks, we can finally take this aluminum dummy shaft out and put the real shaft back in.
Yay.
So we're getting there. Things are at least aligned back up where they need to be. All right, catch you once the stainless is in, because you don't want to watch me do that. It's a lot of swearing and lifting and cursing.
So we lifted up the carpet and we found this nice present, and now Brandon is taking out this entire floor.
This surprise, gotta love boats.
I mean, we knew that spot over there was bad because it was going through the carpet, but I didn't know it was this bad all over.
Yeah, me either. Not even close.
You can see the color it used to be, or it's supposed to be.
Which is still pretty ugly 90s.
Yeah, but better than this color. That color's not great.
This is why the boat is gonna take forever to get in the water.
Well, this doesn't need to be done in order to get it in the water.
Not wrong. But unfortunately, now this is what we're doing. Oh. That is that valve finally turning on.
Scared me.
Yeah, I know, that's what I've been waiting for this whole time.
Yeah, we were putting the ice maker in. That's where this all begun.
Yeah. Turns out it's just a piece of plywood.
Literally, if you put that upside down, it would look the exact same as the floor underneath. They just put whatever that is on top of it. What even is it?
It's a pattern.
Did they make the pattern?
Yeah, it's definitely just a glued on pattern.
Huh.
There's one easy way to make flooring.
Interesting.
I gave her power tools.
Oh no. I didn't do it right. I gotta go more over here. Nope.
She'll figure it out, guys.
I know how to use
At least it's a very small kitchen for remodeling.
I know how to use a power tool.
Yes, we had pizza for lunch.
Cool. Holy crap.
On today's adventures, we're, I should say Lauren here is going to try to wrap the ice maker, since it does not match our very dirty fridges. Awesome thing about stainless.
It's also because it's white and everything in here is cream. Ignore the fact that there's no grate on this, but I'm pretty impressed with myself. Those lines are so clean. It's a little dirty, but I think it looks good.
Well, if you're a boater, you know where this is going. That is some waste hose. Well, it's used in different purposes, but a chunk of waste hose that needs to get replaced, and my generator water inlet and my AC inlet. I think it was long overdue to be replaced. Same with the generator intake. So that means we're working down in the engine room today and back here in the bilge compartment. Which this one's nice and simple. We just got to connect from there to there. And actually have quite a bit of room in here since there's a ton of ongoing projects, like reinforcing my back wall for the hydraulic swim platform in this area. And my generator right here, down in the engine compartment, with all the other million projects on the go. So shafts are currently being taken out to install new dripless seals. So that's kind of exciting. Getting the old stuffing boxes out. But here is where my generator is located. And that's the hose I need to replace. Another pretty straightforward one from there up to there. Looking forward, these are my Detroit Diesels 6V92s. I have the 550 horsepower model. And we got more plumbing to do over here. Changing out my freshwater filters. Fortunately, the lighting's not great down here with the LEDs. So over here, I have this old check valve from the old freshwater water pump that used to feed the boat, which has been converted to a 24-volt DC. This boat used to rely on generator power as soon as you left the dock. So it did have basically this very similar pump to this, which was a 240-volt well pump to pressure the water system, which didn't work very well because as soon as you left the dock, generator had to be started. So previous owner did install a 24-volt pump, which I actually like. It's very nice being able to actually have water as soon as you're unplugged. But this is the old check valve for it. And as you can see, it was working for a while, but water is now starting to leak out of it. So I do have some shark bite fittings to just replace that. It goes from a 1/2 inch to 3/4, just to eliminate all of that. And maybe have some spare fittings kicking around. Also been cleaning up the bilge area here. Got some new bilge pumps going in. Some new Garmin electronics for my depth sounder. Just changed all the fuel filters. And even same with over here. Dripless seals going in. Here's what that looks like here. For 2.5 inch shafts and a 4-inch stern tube. Here's in the engine room looking aft, where you see the fuel tanks, generator shroud. This boat does hold 600 gallons. It's got 3 tanks, 200-gallon tank there. Under and behind all of this, another 200-gallon tank and another 200-gallon tank there. Finally, that hose was a bit difficult, but got that one all installed. Looking brand new. Don't mind the mess like always, but new shark bite fitting there, just like we talked about. New shark bite fitting up there. One more line where my AC was. That is down in there. I don't know how well you can see that, but also changed out. Couple more things getting there. We're gonna start doing all the wiring. Doing all the heavy duty, basically copper power leads, which we are actually gonna be doing a full separate battery bank, which is just 2 starting 12-volt batteries that are AGM, mounting under one of the spare beds. So we got about 20 feet of 2-aught wire currently. Checking that out. Heat shrinking and basically crimping on all of the connections. And then some nice heat shrink to make it look pretty. And it's just a matter of using the simple $100 crimper. These things work amazing, so if you're ever doing big copper terminals, just go and spend the $100, get one of these. Probably the best $100 for just crimping terminals on. And then once you add the heat shrink, basically it looks like you got yourself a professional end. Coming down in here, this is basically, we got the main controller wire all ran all the way to the fly bridge. Get these all mounted and all ran nicely. And then starting to do the install of the batteries and all the tight squeezing of running the rest of the wires the rest of the way through my bilge compartments. Get these crimped on. As you can see, it does a pretty good job crimping the lug on. And now we'll slide some heat shrink on and make it look better. Get some heat shrink on it. If you're gonna get any sort of heat shrink, I don't know how well you can hear me, but make sure you get it with the glue inside. Makes a nice watertight connection. Which, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this on camera. But right there you can actually see where the glue has came out all the way around. Which basically just seals this up. Once that cools down, it'll be a nice watertight connection. Which for up in here where it's never gonna really see water, not a big deal. But if it was out in basically the back area where all my batteries are stored, my bilge compartment, where there is water and moisture, be a lot more important. For down here, really not important, as this stays pretty dry. So some of the joys of running the wiring. As you can see, we're neatly running the wiring. Thankfully, I can actually fit in most of these places. Mind you, it's not comfortable being here, but I'm currently sitting here just to show you the fun of running the wires. But the next compartment is way worse. But with just gotta do some trimming of zip ties, and things are almost pretty good in here. Gotta add a couple more down here, but it's getting there. So here's the fun compartment, and we all know what these are, so you can imagine how great it smells in here. And it is full of cobwebs, so we gotta run those wires. But then you get to find things from previous installers, or which I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, but things like this. Like, why? And it's not like it was just one, it's both. And exactly what I said from last time on why you like to use heat shrink. You can see that that is not a very good connection, which means while I'm in the hole that smells so wonderful, I definitely have other things to do now. Because yes, this is, I think, a 24, nope, sorry. It is 12 volt. This boat does have a mix between 12 and 24 volts. So now, time to try to get those wires ran all the way up here and out here. Sorry about the lighting. I hate LED lights for this reason. But that's where our battery bank is gonna sit. Snips. Well, this looks like a pretty good spot for the batteries. So this is what we're going to be running, doing something like this. We got tons of room under this bed. It's pretty hard to access normally. Basically, not a whole lot gets stored down here. That in there is where you just seen me in a very crappy, smelly hole, which don't recommend anybody going in there. But these are what we're running. We're running 2 batteries. They're not the biggest batteries in the world, but they are 1500 cold cranking amp with 840 amp hour reserve. So basically for the thruster, more than enough. That's 3000 cranking amps at 12 volt. We are not doing 12 volt though. We are doing 24 volt. So that's why we do have the 2 of them. These actually are made to basically make one massive battery with one of these covers. So we got the 2 12 volts that we are wiring in series to make 24 volt. For me, everything on my engines, bilge pumps, everything like that is 24 volts. So I am going to stick with 24 volt because I'm actually going to be using a battery isolator and using my single alternator to basically charge my starting batteries and now these batteries, which are going to power the thruster. So yeah, we're going to build a nice box, but I think this is where it's going to be. They are AGM batteries, so you don't have to worry about, they're not lead acid. They are AGM batteries, which basically means this boat is going to have so many batteries and so many different types, because we have 6 lead acid starting batteries, 2 for each engine and 2 for my generator, which was originally my house power ish. Very weird setup the way this boat was, since it was basically designed to start the generator as soon as you leave the dock and go, which for cost efficiency and things like that, we are going to be eliminating that and doing the lithium setup. So we actually have 6 lead acid batteries, 2 AGM batteries for the thruster, and this would power the stern thruster when, I'd say if and when, but it's more so just when we get the stern thruster. And then we are doing 4 400 amp hour lithium battery bank, which I am keeping in 12 volt. I know a lot of people might say, hey, do 48 volt, which I know that makes a lot of sense, but I'm using it in still in 12 volt to connect to my inverter and also run all of my house 12 volts. So all of my lighting, underwater lights, navigation equipment, all of that stuff will stay on actually lithium battery bank. So we'll have lots of batteries in this boat now. But time to get to figuring out this cover, building a mounting system to hold this all in place. I'm thinking trim the lid or trim back here. One of which to get these cables to come out nicely, then trim them back and terminate some more ends. Unfortunately, we're on a boat, and this is exactly how not to cut 2/0 wire. I totally have perfectly good cable cutters, but it's a classic scenario. We're here now, and my cable cutters are at my shop, about 15-minute drive away. So multi-tool with a pretty dull blade actually seems to be working pretty good. I started it, figured I'd take you along for the ride and show you that it's working, it's getting the job done, but definitely not the right tool. So I guess if it works, it works, right? But preferably use the proper tools. Let's see. Actually, cut it pretty darn good. So I guess we'll see how well it cut once I strip back the end to basically crimp on this connection here. When stripping any sort of wire, always be cautious, especially if you're doing it the way I am. You don't want to push very hard. You can almost just score it, and then if you bend, you can see it starts to stretch out, and you barely have to put any pressure. And it will cut it without cutting these little strands of wire. You can see, I don't know how well you can get that on camera, but just like that. Cut it pretty good, considering using a multi-tool. Still pretty tight strand. Cut it a little long, but let's see. Oh, pretty good. Unfortunately, it is a little long. But that's where the shrink wrap comes in handy. And if you were smart, you would have stuck the shrink wrap on first before test fitting it. So you wouldn't have had to pull it back apart like I just had to. Find yourself your hydraulic crimper, don't drop it. Try juggling 4 things at once, which is always the fun. Got 1 crimp on it, but I think I can do 2. So let's see what it looks like. Unfortunately for these, it almost looks like the die is the wrong size. You can kind of see the edge just flare out here. Almost looks like it's too small, even though it is the size it calls for. So I actually switched to a larger die, and it seemed like it crimped it a whole lot better. Still very good crimping force. Unfortunately, that's kind of the things you deal with some China tools. Or maybe it was just the wrong size. But I know the larger die that's for 3/0 definitely worked better. I actually did go over top of the last crimp with it just to get rid of that real sharp edge. So this way, once I put this heat shrink over it, it doesn't have a sharp edge to point through. Even though it's the negative terminal anyways, which isn't as crazy because basically, like most things, your negative is all of your ground chassis, or on your engine is your entire engine chassis. So normally your negatives can be exposed, but trying to keep everything nice and clean, and basically any terminals heat shrunk or just protected being under the bed in the bedroom. Probably asking yourself, what on earth happened to you? Well, I would love to say a funny joke, something like, hey, you should see the other guy.
No, I'm fine.
That's
Nothing
the other
happened
guy.
to me.
So, for the love of boating and everything that we do, this is what exactly happened. Mitch here bought this bad boy. What was it again? An Aqua scooter. So yeah, you are seeing this right, because this is new to me. This is why we love Facebook Marketplace so much. This is a gas-powered 2-stroke, basically Aqua scooter, underwater jet propulsion system, things like that. Classic Facebook Marketplace. But you say, okay, how does that turn into that? Well, I come walking over to Mitch's truck here, he leans in to show me this bad thing. I lean my head in like this, and he decides to pull. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Which basically just rocks me right in the eye. Then I hit my head off this whole vice grip scenario thing because it's Mitch's truck and that's how he holds his cap up. And long story short, I got a black eye and we got this cool thing. So sometime when the weather's warmer, we are definitely gonna have to try this thing out. But so if you see me throughout the videos and throughout, especially this weekend, since I was gonna be doing a lot of work on my personal boat, that's the explanation on why I have a black eye. About a 1975 here. Let's see if it actually starts. Oh, coming to life.
Almost.
All this for my black eye. So you basically have,
Doesn't like running without choke, but that's fine.
well, for $70 Canadian, and since I'm sure a lot of our viewers are American, that's probably what, like 10 cents American? But that's how it is. You just got a 2-stroke engine that legitimately runs underwater and has like a 3 to 4 foot snorkel with an air tank that's chambered and no water jacketing because it's just completely submerged in water. So very neat. I wish they still made something like this today. Something like electric start, fuel injected, something that just rips. But I guess with how good lithium batteries are becoming, this kind of stuff is becoming a thing of the past, that's for sure. I'm excited to try it out though. So it's the next day. As you've seen by the last video, you've seen what happened to my eye. So still looking horrible, but still got things to do. So for today, the plan is finish getting this shaft in. There's my very bent prop, which I'm actually just using to stop the prop from spinning so I can torque the inside of the shaft to the collar that bolts to the transmission, or a hub collar. I'm not too sure what that's called actually. But what I do have to do is get everything. I want to prep everything to get that rudder installed today. Just got out the new sander since I've killed like 2 of those. But sandblasted it quick, but it's very rough and kind of still pitted. So I do want to get it sanded down to a pretty decent texture and then probably prop glide it, something like that. Unfortunately, here in the Great Lakes and stuff like that, we actually really don't paint our props, our shafts, any of those components. The stainless steel shafts, basically everything. Like I'll show you, for instance, a couple things kicking around. Here's another boat. Bare stainless, bare brass, not even a zinc anywhere around it. Here's another one, just bare brass, nothing coating on it, not even a zinc on it as well. So if any one of you are from the salt water and you got some advice, feel free, drop it in the comments. Let me know what I should coat these with and what things I should do to prep the boat for salt water. I would love to know, and if you have experience with it, by all means drop it in the comments because I'll take all the information I can get, especially somebody that has first-hand experience with it and even a product that would be good to coat all these things to protect against salt water. But all right, I'm going to get started sanding some things and I'll get back to you hopefully once this rudder is installed and things like that. Back down in the engine room, getting ready to install the dripless seals. So since it is a new shaft, we got some valve grinding compound on here. Just spent a good 15 minutes working it in, making sure that it comes off even and smooth. And I think I already took the packing seals out of here, but on this side you can kind of see one unboxed So this is basically the new carbon seal, or aka a dripless seal, depending on what you want to call it. So you basically have a big carbon ring that gets compressed by a nice big stainless ring like this. You actually have to compress it when installing the stainless ring. That smushes and creates a seal against the carbon ring. This kind of system is actually very common on like Sea-Doos, things like that, especially BRP Sea-Doos. I think Yamaha uses a different setup, but basically taking that technology and putting it into big boats. So no more worrying about dripping down and always constantly filling my bilge compartment. As you can see, it's always a nasty area because there's always constantly water flowing into it. So I'm very excited to install those. So exactly what I just said, you can see the valve lapping compound that I used to make sure that this mating surface and that mating surface is perfect. Because even though there is a keyway, it actually basically holds by the friction of the clamping force from the two tapers. I actually did grab a piece of sandpaper off of a belt sander, cut it in half, and sanded down my stern tube because there was some rough and big jagged areas of gel coat. So this way I'll have a nice, good, rounded, smooth surface to clamp on the new seal. All right, let me get some things rolling here and I'll get back to you. Got to get this all slid on, and then bolt that on, get it torqued down, and with a nice big long 4-foot torque wrench. All right, things are getting there. I'll show you what I got. So right now we got everything mounted on here tight. We made sure that it is centered all the way around the shaft. We do have the coupler back bolted on and torqued down with the nice long 4-foot torque wrench. Got 2 bolts in there. Just checked with a feeler gauge to make sure that the alignment is still perfect, which it is. Now we got to slide this down till it just touches, and for this size it calls for a 1-inch compression. So basically I'm going to push it there. We're going to mark the back side of it and then compress this 1 inch, tighten up 2 set screws that basically get stacked on top of each other. And that should basically finish up this install. The only thing left I do have to do is tap into my water, my raw water, and get a hose ran up. And I still got to figure out where I'm tapping into on here. Haven't got that far yet. And then still do all of that side. Got the compression ring all set up. What we actually did is, it is a 2-person job. You have to pull this back, and what we actually did was just took a 1-inch screw, because it is 1-inch compression, made our mark and used this 1-inch screw to just hold there quickly to make sure our gapping was proper. Now tighten down both set screws, and then 2 set screws get stacked on top of it, making sure you use the blue Loctite that comes with the kit. So other than that, engine's aligned, dripless seals are installed, we're getting there. Well, this is after about 2 or 3 minutes of basically rotating the prop back and forth. And you can see exactly why we used the valve lapping compound. You can see the little shiny spot here, and basically where it's been grinded down. So that basically just mates the two tapered surfaces perfect. That's exactly what it's there for, is to get any small imperfections and just make it seal perfectly. It's literally what you use to reseat your valves in your cylinder head. Same kind of concept, just bigger area. Well, I guess depending on the size valves you have. New shaft is installed, cutlass bearings, everything like that. We got our new used prop. It was new and never mounted. Then we did get it inspected to make sure everything is perfect, and it is. And since it is a new prop and a new shaft, we got valve lapping compound on it, and time to lap the two together. This way the mating surface is perfect. So pretty easy process. It's a matter of just giving it a little bit of force, pushing it on, and spinning it back and forth for a good couple minutes to make sure that the faces of the two between the prop and the shaft are perfect, be perfect matched. Good morning. It is now Sunday, actually a very beautiful Sunday, and I'll show you what's going on. As you've seen before, I thought I had my strut pretty much perfect. Turns out it wasn't. Last night I fought big time with trying to get in my starboard shaft. Seemed like no matter what I was doing, I was still not perfectly lined up, which could only mean the strut's bent. So trying to get things figured out, it getting dark. Obviously no filming happened, but I'll catch you up right now. As you can see, there's no strut. That side is all put back together. This side, there's no strut. So what I did last night, very difficult to do by yourself, which I don't recommend. Trying to rig up a jack to hold a screwdriver so you can be basically two people at once by unthreading the inside and holding it from the outside. Horrible. Took almost two and a half hours just to undo 8 bolts being by yourself. So definitely recommend hiring somebody to help you or something. But finally did get it out. And again, this is why none of it was filmed. We got it out, brought it back to my shop. It was like 11 o'clock last night. And we did, I shouldn't say we, it was definitely all me. Did carry this bad boy out, put it in the press, heated it up. You could see, I could tell it was bent right here. As much as it looks kind of weird on being an angle, this is actually just supposed to be nice and straight. I could tell because I have the other one. So I could tell right here it was kicked out just a little bit. And from measuring it, it seemed like it was like 1/8 of an inch out. So heated it up, but biggest pain was I just installed a brand new cutlass bearing. Kept that cool by soaking it in water, spraying water in it while heating this side. Got it pretty decent and put it in just a small 25-ton press. And I got what I believe is to be pretty straight. Taking a lot of measurements and comparing it to my other side. The other side here seems to look pretty good. Since it is out, I was gonna sandblast it, but I didn't feel like digging out my sandblaster, so I set it up here. I'm gonna wire wheel it clean while it's sitting here, and then basically try to install it. If it is still out a little bit, I'm gonna basically do exactly what they do from factory, which is just re-shimming it a little bit different or re-bedding it. So these are the actual factory shims that were in there, which you can kind of see right here. Bronze shims. I got tons of little pieces of brass like that kicking around. So if I have to re-shim it, that's going to be the plan. Get some 5200 on it, get it stuck back together. Shouldn't go nowhere. From everything I can tell, this one is perfect and hasn't moved at all. We're gonna get started cleaning this up. And hopefully, if all goes well, we might actually have my second shaft in, which brings me to being able to hopefully meet my deadline, which is to get the boat in the water after next weekend. This is Sunday, so I basically have a whole nother 7 days. But there is some small things concerning I have no swim platform. Still waiting on my cylinder to be rebuilt for this. Getting some body work done here and up here. And as you can tell, the boat needs a desperate clean and then cut and polish, which I don't think it'll be possible in 7 days, especially being by myself for most of it. So we'll see what ends up happening. Do the best, and it's about all we can do. I'm also in no massive rush. That was just a personal goal I kind of set to try to get things in line. And I feel like it's good to set personal goals. Kind of gets the butt moving when you want to get things done. So let me get started here. Got lots of work to do today. I'll catch you once things are going hopefully a little bit better. All right, cleaned up, looking good. But the fun of 30-year-old boats. And yeah, we're in some shades now, so you can stop looking at my eye, because I know that's what you've been looking at. Going, wow, that guy got punched in the face. I know. But anyways, since I had the wire wheel hooked up, I figured, hey, let's do some cleaning, because the marina actually knowingly knew that I needed to take my shafts out, parked me right back against this hill. So two things about that. One, it was very crappy because I had to basically dig a hole to get my shafts out. The port shaft, no way. I was digging like a 4-foot hole. So I ended up having to pay the marina to move my boat 4 feet to get me away from this hill, which I don't know how well you can see it, but decent hill. And I was parked all the way at the edge. So no way to get that shaft out. So with that being said though, I had to pay, get the boat moved. I had it moved forward 4 or 5 feet. On the plus side, I was able to get the boat reblocked and basically be able to do the bottom paint and the epoxy paint in the areas where the blocks already were, instead of trying to do it on a weekend when the boat is in the slings hanging. But being a 30-year-old boat, look at what I found. This is where the blocks were. Go to start cleaning it up, and yeah, I don't know if you can see that. Nice little 1/8-inch chunk. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus a little bit better. Yeah, that's what I just found. So I took the wire wheel, hit it real good. Now I'm gonna get the grinder out, grind it all back. More fiberglass work to do. So gonna continue grinding that back, see where I get the epoxy resin out, and start doing some glass work. Just with it being down here, it will be only epoxy, and we'll get it all fixed up. Pretty simple repair, but just one more thing that you have to deal with. So just another thing to add to the list. My work never ends here. All right guys, I told you that I was getting a hardtop made. What I haven't told you yet is we got screwed. I got completely screwed on buying this hardtop. Very unfortunate with the amount of money I spent. The company that was doing it completely butchered this. I figured I'd show you, as what ended up happening was we made a deal where I still purchased it, but at a very discounted rate, because it was so bad when I arrived. I basically told them, cut it up, throw it out, keep my deposit. I'm gonna flip the camera around, show you what we're dealing with, and you can kind of see what's happening and the amount of work I now have as well. This is day 4 or 5 of doing nothing but sanding, building up primer, some spots having to add Bondo. This was supposed to be the finished product on the inside. I'm gonna show you around, show you just how bad this is. Like for example, this was supposed to be a 1-inch thick lip all the way around. This was supposed to be, again, a finished product. None of this area we even touched yet. I do have a short clip of what it originally looked like when I first picked it up. I'll add that in here. Like, look at this. Like, that's supposed to be straight and smooth. There, you can see it way better in this lighting. But yeah, here's some of the differences in thickness. This is supposed to be an entire uniformed, even finish all the way around. Same with areas like this. This is exactly how we got this, right here. Basically a 1/4 inch thick of glasswork right there. So a ton of work has went into just trying to get this smooth. And not only that, I gave them very clear instructions on where to do mounts like this, where to cut out my windows, and even all of that is wrong. Windows are completely wrong spot. The front mounts, you can actually see they were right there. They're supposed to be back there, and this window is supposed to be behind that. The next two windows are supposed to be even further back. Kind of going with the flow at this point, seeing if we can actually get something to be a finished product and look somewhat decent, but this is what we're dealing with. The biggest thing is when I talked about all this, I told them that the top can be a textured surface, not too concerned about the finish on the top, as basically nobody sees it. But this was still the kind of finish that is on the top. Was supposed to be a smooth edge, 6 inches, which you can see they attempted that. It certainly isn't a smooth edge. So yeah, figured I'd give you an update since I did mention we were going to be getting one, but I wasn't expecting this. When I went to pick it up, my heart basically stopped when I seen how bad it was. Considering this project is costing, I believe, approximately, with the windows and everything, the mounting hardware, everything, inwards of $20,000. And the fact that this is the kind of work that I arrived to, also having to drive 5 hours away, it was quite shocking to say the least. But we're gonna work with it, see what I can do. Since I did decide and don't have any of my canvas left, kind of stuck at this point. So hopefully we get a pretty decent smooth finish. But man, has it been a lot of sanding, grinding out old gel, not old, brand new gel coat that was so uneven it's not even funny. This is kind of an area we've been testing to spray some heavy primer in to fill it. I'll give you some more updates as this comes along. Maybe once it's got primer on it, I'll give you another update. Over on the port side today, figured I'd show you exactly. When I did the starboard side, I realized I showed you the valve grinding compound, but I didn't show you like finished product. So this is actually, you can see where it's grinded down and basically made a perfect surface to mate between this one and that one. So basically between your shaft and your coupler. So time to get this one installed, get the dripless stuff. Obviously, if you're doing this, don't forget the dripless, because I may or may not have accidentally forgot and started reassembling the other side before installing the dripless seals and everything. So a couple minutes here, this side should be all connected and done as well.
Alright, so I have everything taped off except for behind here because I still have to move that. But I'm going to sand all this down like I did already over on this side so that we can stain it the same color of the new moldings, which is like this darker espresso color.
Good morning. Yes, the eye still a week later. It's looking quite a bit better. Little update on the inside. Lauren here decided to do some staining, which we were actually both in agreement on, and it was always the plan since we did redo this entire door. So here's some, actually a piece that is finished, and we actually really like it. She sanded everything down, got it all taped off, but let me tell you, the tape didn't work. Right?
The tape worked fine. Just the can had some issues with it.
As you can see, couch got stain on it, window got stain on it, my wall had stain on it, my ceiling had stain on it. It's going better now, at least. Thankfully, as you guys already seen, we were tearing out the floors in the kitchen, or the galley, and we were actually planning on redoing all of the carpets throughout this entire boat. As crazy as it looks, not too big of a deal. We are getting everything replaced basically once the boat goes in the water. We were trying to be cautious to an extent because we're still walking around in our socks, things like that. So that's what's going on in there. I'll take you over to what I'm working on, I'll show you what we got going on. All right, bringing you down into the bilge compartment, show you what we got. So, just got everything basically taken off. The lighting really makes it look horrible in here. Got the battery charger off on this side. Batteries all covered up. All of the hoses disconnected. Couple little spots filled in. We have my support that you guys have already seen, all epoxy painted. And the soft spot that has been completely redone was all epoxy painted as well. And then we are gonna coat everything in a coat of white bilge paint. And then obviously this is the new generator exhaust that we rerouted to go right out here. We have this set up. This actually pulls basically the smell and the paint fumes out. It's a big fan on the other side, sucking it all out of the exhaust here. About to start getting everything all painted. Figured it was a good time while everything is apart. We do have the muffler sitting here. The muffler base is out there. That was also completely rebuilt, coated in fiberglass resin, and then epoxy painted, and then will be bilge white paint as well. And we're just going with something simple, some enamel, and all kinds of fittings, everything like that, to put the fun smelly tank back in with all brand new fittings. Since everything is approximately 30 years old, time to replace it all, kind of get rid of that smell, hopefully, for the most part. So we'll get back to you once we get a little bit further along. All right, guys, this will be the last update for this basically episode of the video. I think this one's going to be a bit of a long one again. You'll see kind of all the updates I got. I'll show you the one last thing that's in process. And then I think the next step is to get this shrink wrap off, get this back deck cleaned up, and start the actual process of getting it ready to go in the water. So the little things, which are actually massive things when it comes to this size of a boat, like waxing it and just cleaning it, and simple things to be ready for in the water. So the last update will be the bilge compartment is almost all painted for this side for me to just basically start reassembling. Got new bilge hose coming in, new waste hose, new waste vent hose, new waste vent filter. Yes, this is all gel coat cracking because this is basically just a sheet of plywood that was gel coated, and this is where my wastewater tank sits on. So I really wasn't worried about the cracking, but I figured just to make it look a little bit better, seal it up some more, I threw a coat of bilge coat on it since I was doing everything else in here. Trying to clean it up, make it look good. The bracket for my hydraulic platform is all coated and painted. Turned out pretty good. It was epoxy painted. Since it was just bare glass, I did epoxy paint it, then bilge coated it as well. So guys, stay tuned. Basically, I'll catch you on the next episode and we'll get this shrink wrap off.